Hey everyone, finish watching the next episode of Power Rangers RPM Ranger Blue. Dr. K goes over the mechanics of how the RPM powers work. Flynn thinks back to growing up. He was inspired by superhero comics to stand up to some bullies teasing a girl, only to then get beaten up. The girl also dumps food on him. Okay. Later, he talks to his father. He's a realist and tells him there's no such thing as superheroes. I guess somebody doesn't watch the Harvey Garvey show. In the present, the Rangers leap into action to stop Venjix's latest attack. Flynn tries to activate his time freeze ability, but it malfunctions and freezes him. Once again, we see his past. This time, it's his graduation and subsequent jobs. His father told him, "No good deed goes unpunished," and it seems he's right. Whenever Flynn tried to stand up for his morals, he'd lose his job. He returns to his father just as Venjix's assault starts. Back to the present, Flynn's suit is still malfunctioning. The villains retreat and the Rangers take Flynn to Dr. K to analyze the situation. She determines that the issue is an excess of energy built up due to the time freeze ability. She goes into some complicated explanation, but the simple gist is Flynn can't morph until she fixes it. The Rangers, meanwhile, figure out what Venjix's latest plan was, setting off a volcano. The Rangers go to stop the attack Bob, but Flynn is stuck at the garage. Flynn once again thinks back to the past. He and his father had just arrived in Corinth. Flynn overhears a mother ask for help retrieving her daughter. He takes a transport out and fights through grinders to rescue her along with other stragglers. When he comes back to Corinth, his father tells him that after all the years of telling him heroes don't exist, it turns out his son was one all along. In the present, the Rangers continue battling the bad guys, and Flynn is fed up with holding back and joins his team. He has a plan. Earlier, when the Rangers were asking questions about their powers to Dr. K, Ziggy asked about the explosions that appear after they morph. Dr. K answered that it was part of a residual energy runoff. What if Flynn were to channel the excess energy buildup through that runoff? It turns out his plan works. Dr. K sends the Zords, and with the team all together, they're able to defeat the attack bot. Flynn returns home to his father and sees a scrapbook he's made of articles about his son, the Blue Ranger. These flashback episodes all do a great job of fleshing out the characters. I wish more seasons would do things like that. This episode has a couple of popular moments. The beginning with Dr. K is one of them. The whole conversation between Dr. K and the Rangers is an in-joke about Power Rangers as an adaptation, trying to make sense of the things Sentai takes for granted. The big explosions that are just there to look cool, well, it turns out they've got a practical purpose. The eyes on the Zords, they're not eyes, they're ocular sensors. Eyes. The morph call of RPM Get in Gear, that too is actually a practical step in the process. I appreciate references like this. It's not just making fun of the absurdity, but actually trying to make sense of it in a way that fits the season. I definitely prefer this over most of the earlier Disney seasons' humor. Flynn's flashbacks to his childhood are really cool. The comic he's reading looks like an actual comic. I wonder if Carson Brady, Trent, or Art Fortunes worked on it. The later flashbacks of adult Flynn are great representations of who he is as well. This episode is where the "I'm Scottish" line comes from. As someone with Scottish ancestry, I do appreciate the representation. Tanaya listing off the Rangers' traits reminds me of Dustin talking about the different kinds of Power Rangers back in Ninja Storm. Flynn's altruistic nature in the end even impresses his father. It's interesting to compare Flynn and his father to Summer and her parents. Both parents are distant, but in different ways. Summer's aren't there for her, while Flynn's father is always there. Neither Ranger's parents understand their child's wants or ambitions until the end. Flynn's solution to his suit's malfunction is clever and the perfect cap to everything here. I like that something that really wasn't anything more than just an aesthetic choice was turned into a plot of a whole episode. The explosions are just something that's accepted in tokusatsu, to the point where no one thinks about them. It's like capes in American superhero media. They're not practical, they serve little purpose, and are usually just there because it looks cool. RPM, I think, is the best instance of an outsider perspective in Power Rangers. The showrunner, Eddie Gazelian, along with some other newcomers, didn't know much about Power Rangers going in, but fully embraced it and appear to love it. Crunch and Shifter get to join in the fight this time, and I like seeing them outside Venjix's base. I love that scene where Crunch growls at Summer in his raspy voice, "I don't have a mother!" Interesting trivia note here, Crunch and Shifter's names are switched around in the subtitles for the Buena Vista DVD. Here's some cast stuff. Flynn was played by Ari Boyland. He's a pretty successful actor and returned to the franchise in Samurai as the voice of a monster. He'd reunite with a bunch of RPM cast and crew on the movie Blood Punch. His father was played by Jason Hoyt, who's previously voiced a lot of other Disney-era characters, and also played Cheese McAllister in Jungle Fury's worst episode, Don't Blow That Dough. Several RPM stunt people and crew got small parts here and there, including the mayor's son Flynn attempts to arrest in his flashbacks. Definitely one of the strongest episodes of not just this season, but of the entire series. I really like this episode. If I were to rate some of my favorite episodes of the whole show, I think this one would definitely be pretty high up there. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.
I'm Scottish!